Hello, grade 4. The second lesson is about adverbs. Welcome back to our virtual classroom. Hopefully, at the end of this video, you will be able to identify adverbs and the verbs they describe. You will also be able to use adverbs in writing and speaking. And finally, you will be able to differentiate between the different types of adverbs. What do adverbs do? They modify a verb, an adjective, or another adverb. Most of the time, they end in ly, but they don't have to. Here are a few examples: happily, carefully, very, sadly, loudly, joyfully, angrily, quietly, carelessly, energetically, and nervously. Adverbs show how, when, and where. How an action is done, when it's done, and where it's done. For example, quietly shows how someone spoke. She spoke quietly, or loudly, or slowly. Adverbs that show when an action happens. I always forget my book. I never forget my book. I usually forget my book, or I sometimes forget my book. And finally, adverbs that show where an action happened or is happening. I am playing outside. My neighbor is playing inside. I will place my book here. Pause the video to learn as many adverbs as you can. Watch the following video about adverbs.
An adverb tells you more about a verb. Adverbs tell us how, when, and where the action takes place. The dog barks loudly. The adverb loudly tells us more about the verb barks. The adverb loudly tells us how the dog barks. The store opens early. The adverb early tells us more about the verb opens. The adverb early tells us when the store opens. The bus stops here. The adverb here tells us more about the verb stops. The adverb here tells us where the bus stops. An adverb tells you more about a verb.
Alright, hope the video was helpful. Now we're going to discuss adverbs of frequency and intensity. Adverbs of frequency show how often something happens, and adverbs of intensity show how much. You have to ask yourself two questions. Which word is the verb? And then you have to ask yourself, which word tells how often or how much something happens, in order to be able to find the adverbs. Let's take a look at this example. My dog usually wakes up at 6 a.m. First, let's find the action. The action here is wakes. He wakes up. Where is the word that describes the verb You're right. Usually. Usually is the adverb. Do you think usually is an adverb of frequency or it's an adverb of intensity? You're right, it's an adverb of frequency. It's showing me how frequently the dog wakes up at 6. Usually. Here's a list of adverbs of frequency. When you do something 100% of the time, you have to use the adverb always. I always go shopping after work. Well, I wish. 90% of the time, usually. 80% of the time, frequently. 70% of the time, often. 50% sometimes. 30% occasionally. 10% seldom. 5% rarely. And 0% never. Something that you never do. Did you know that adverbs can be found in different parts of sentences? That's right, they can be found in the beginning and or middle. Take a look at these examples. Option 1. Carefully, Mrs. Romy trained her service dog. Carefully is the adverb here, and it's present in the beginning. Option 2. Mrs. Romy carefully trained her service dog. Here, the adverb is in the middle. And option 3, Mrs. Romy trained her service dog carefully. Here the adverb is in the end. Time for a scavenger hunt. Are you ready? Hunt as many adverbs as possible. At a first glance, I can see the adverb peacefully, cheerfully, stylishly, quite, beautifully, awkwardly. I'll leave the rest to you. You got this, so stay safe. Until next time.